They just show you a cross section of the cake, and it's like, oh, okay, this nice vanilla dough, and I'm like, oh, okay, that looks good. And they're like, and a bit of buttercream, and I'm like, okay, we're going there. And then you always hard right into some disgusting ingredients, like, and then you're like, and it's chamomile, hazelnut, cardamom, lavender, star anise, and I'm like, what happened to fucking peanut butter and chocolate, Peter? Hello and welcome to Is This Good? The show where we boldly, conclusively, and scientifically decide what things in this big wide world are good. I'm Matt Austin, and with me, as always, is production powerhouse Jason Doyle.
Hello.
Thanks for coming, JD. And today's guest is a sweet, sweet man who in 2020 became the youngest ever winner of the incredibly popular cooking competition, the Great British Bake Off. He's also the youngest person to ever win the Great British Baking Show. They're the same thing. He's the author of two successful cookbooks, Peter's Baking Party and Peter Bakes. If you guessed that his first name is Peter, you'd be right. If you guessed his last name was Bakes, that'd be very cool, but you're wrong. It's Peter Sawkins! Welcome to Is This Good?
Thanks for having me on, Matt. Appreciate it. Actually, quite a lot of people have thought that my last name is Bakes, and loads of people think it, and then they're very disappointed that it's not. It would have been very good for branding, but sadly not.
Yeah, that's nominative determinism. We've talked about that before. Like, your parents name you Jeeves, you're going to be a butler. Now, in this case, it's your last name, so I don't know. You would have had to come from a long line of bakers, I assume. But I guess in the old days, didn't people used to be named like Smith was a blacksmith?
All of the names used to be like that, so there must be. I mean, there's bakers out there, you know. Baker is a classic last name, so they must have been bakers. Sadly, not for me, but you know, there we go. It is.
Yeah, like for instance, Anita Baker's parents could make a lovely baguette. I don't know that for sure, but I'm gonna guess that's true. I just looked this up before we got on, Peter. Do you know why? And I now know why. If you don't know, the Great British Bake Off is called the Great British Bake Off in the UK, and it's called the Great British Baking Show in America.
So I think it's legal stuff. Yeah. So I thought it was something in the US. Is it the Pillsbury Company? Is it Pillsbury Company?
Yes, it is.
A bake-off and they've trademarked it, so they can't use that over here?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's 100% correct. I looked into it a little deeper. What a lot of people don't know is that Poppin' Fresh, the Pillsbury Doughboy, is the one that filed that registered trademark. So he's a litigious little puff of a man. I learned on their website that they list his statistics. Poppin' Fresh is 8 3/4 inches tall, and they specify that that's with his chef hat on and weighs 14 ounces. And I can't believe they didn't make him take his chef hat off at the combine, you know, just to see what he was like without his gear on. But is the Pillsbury Doughboy a thing in England or not really?
It's not. I mean, I know Pillsbury Doughboy as a term, but to be completely honest, I can't even picture him in my head. I don't even know what he looks like. So I really don't know.
Picture like, do you know the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Okay, he's like that, but like if Rick Moranis got to him and he shrunk him.
Right, and completely nude.
So the Michelin Man of cake.
Yeah, he's a tiny Michelin Man of cake.
That's right.
Of crescent rolls and soft baked cookies.
With a strong sort of legal case behind him as well against baking shows.
Now, do you know this? Do you know how every commercial involving the Pillsbury Doughboy ends?
No idea.
Okay. Oh, I do. Well,
they poke him in the belly and he goes like, hee. Am I making that up, JD?
You are not making that up. That's exactly what happens.
Very weird.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, but the Pillsbury company was like, okay, Great British Bake Off, you want to air in America? Well, guess what? We own the trademark to the words Bake Off. So now we got the Great British Baking Show. But it'll always be GBBO to me.
There we go.
That's
Hell yeah.
right.
The original.
That's right.
The original. Yeah.
It's like it's a real Bush X situation, Matt. Remember?
It is a Bush X. Yeah, Bush as in the Gavin Rossdale, Everything Zen Machine Head band. In Canada, they were called Bush X because there was because of Bush's baked beans. A lot of people don't know that. No, there was already a band called Bush in Canada. All right, so we've got a real live champion on the show, which I'm super excited about. Not just a champion, I would go so far as to say fan favorite, not just in your season, but in the entire British Bake Off, because I looked on ranker.com. The list was called Best Great British Bake Off Winners, ranked of all time. You're number 2. Okay, you're not number 1, but you're number 2. But there's been a lot of contestants. That. You're happy with that? You know who you're behind?
Rahul.
No, Nadia Hussein.
Oh, fair play, fair play. Yeah,
okay.
I'm way behind Nadia. That's fair.
See, I don't
I
know
think I'm outranking where I should be.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that.
Now, then again, JD would know, because I have to say before we start, I mean, we've already started, but I somehow did not watch the Great British Baking Show until last season, or whenever that aired in America on Netflix, the one where Maddie won. And who's young, but I tell you what, he's not as young as you. And they say that the youngest winner ever, you were how old when you won? 19, 20?
20, yeah.
20
when I won.
So you're going to be the youngest person of all time. Who, like a 12-year-old's going to come on and win? I don't think so.
Every year when I see a 19-year-old on the show every year, I'm like, I'm getting nervous. I'm getting jittery. Are they gonna take the title away? So if I see an old cast, that's when I'm like, I'm good to go. I'm ready to watch it.
Yeah.
Want everyone to be
right.
over 30.
Yeah. Okay. So no one break this record. All right.
Have they never done an all-star bake-off?
No. I mean, I would love it, but I don't know. It'd be difficult to pull together, I reckon. It'd be cool.
I've always watched Top Chef, for instance, which I don't know if you have. Actually, they just did a season in London not too long ago, maybe 2-3 seasons ago. But I'm very into food, but very into savory food. I don't really know much about baking, much about pastry. And for some reason, I don't know why, it just, maybe because I don't do it, it didn't interest me as much. But I finally was like, Jesus, everyone's been yelling at me to watch this show for the past 4 years, basically since the pandemic started, if not before. And I finally did it. I haven't watched all 11 or 12 seasons. No, there's way more now, right, Peter? What are we on now?
Oh, I think it's 15. I think 15 is coming out.
Yeah, because I think I was 11. And yeah, 15.
Okay, 15. So, but JD is the expert here, so he'll check me if, because I don't know the entire oeuvre of the thing. But a question I had was, what is it like to watch yourself on reality TV? Because I know this isn't like a low-brow reality TV show. It's a cooking competition. Everyone on it is highly skilled, but it's still reality TV. What I always wonder is, I see these people that are on it slowly form these very deep friendships on the show. And then I wonder what it must be like to go home, watch the episode, and then be like, she said what about me in her testimonial? Or like Prue said what when she tasted my petit four, whatever it is. Like, were you a little surprised at things that people said not to your face?
I mean, I think the show is such a sort of vanilla, gentle kind of program. There's not much backstabbing that's going on in there, so it might be different for something else. I think for me, the biggest concern was what I had said. So every week I was just going, have I said something really stupid here? Have I, really sort of dug into someone's choux pastry and gone, that looks awful, or been really, really mean about someone's macaron not having a good foot around it or something like that. So I think that was my concern, was going, how do I look like a dick on here, or have I come across looking okay?
Did anything slip through that you were you didn't feel great about?
No, I think it was all pretty good. They record like 90 hours of footage that then they pare down into a 1-hour show. So the chances
90 hours per episode?
Yeah,
per
it's
episode.
incredible.
There are like 10 cameras on.
Holy
It's
shit.
huge. And then they pare it down into 1 hour. So you're like, they're going to cut most of it. So you're probably good. You're probably golden.
Well, okay, I have a question that's a very uncouth question. And like I said, I don't have a large history of baking, but I'm going to ask you anyways, because this was my reaction watching the show a lot of time. Someone would be making a beautiful looking cake, and then they would, when that sort of animated slide comes up, it's like sort of looks like it's hand drawn, and they're like, Peter is making, and it's like they show you a cross section of the cake, and it's like, oh, okay, this nice vanilla dough, and I'm like, oh, okay, that looks good, and they're like, and a bit of buttercream, and I'm like, okay, we're going there, and then you always hard right into some disgusting ingredients, and then you're like, and it's chamomile, hazelnut, cardamom, lavender, star anise, and I'm like, what happened to fucking peanut butter and chocolate, Peter?
It is true. You're always, because you're competing. There's 12 of you in the tent at the start, so you've got to do something a little bit different. And also you've got to make something your own. You've got to put a spin on it. So you can't just pick a recipe from online. So you're going to have to change some things about it and make it a bit different and stand out. And they're always encouraging you to go for weird and wonderful flavor combinations and stuff like that. But honestly, the way to make Paul happy, I found, was to make something that's lemon flavored, chocolate or caramel, and then you're going to get a good review. So you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing, chamomile, lavender and hibiscus, all in the same thing. But you want to do something a bit different. You don't just want to be boring. And if we all put across, a chocolate chip cookie with vanilla, it'd be a pretty boring show, although it'd be very tasty afternoon.
That's fair.
Yeah, but there's this old Borscht Belt Jewish comedian, Jackie Mason, who used to have a bit about developing a taste. He's like, my whole life people told me I got to develop a taste. You ever seen someone have to develop a taste for a potato chip? And that is what I would say to you. And to Paul, Hollywood, I respect him, because you don't need to develop a taste for peanut butter and chocolate, maybe lemon, like you said, a banana if we're going to go crazy. But these are classic flavors that we know work. But I understand you want to make it. I mean, to me, I guess this would be like me watching a show about savory cooking, and someone puts in an interesting, like a gochujang or something, and everyone's like, "Why isn't he making a grilled cheese sandwich?" But I'm still complaining about it nonetheless, because I just feel like there's too much cardamom going on. But so you feel like pressured, where you're like, "Shit, this recipe is dialed in, it's really good, but now I got to add one left turn ingredient here."
You've got to make it different, and also if you want to be in for the full 10 weeks, you got 30 bakes that you're doing along that time, so they're gonna get bored at some point. But yeah, everyone wants just salted caramel or whatever it is, and they don't want to go too crazy. But you've got to find something, and you've got to stand out a little bit. So I think I kind of played it where you try and do like your slightly odd things where it's a fairly low risk bake. You've got to play the long game. You've got to strategize the whole thing when you're in it. So do like your slightly weird flavors when it's low risk, and then when it's like a really high pressure bake, just go for the classics that are going to be crowd pleasers every day.
You mentioned wanting to please Paul. Is that the goal? Is Prue less important in the competition? Like, is that a better strategy, is to go after Paul?
I don't think less important, but I think Prue was always happier to give good feedback and good vibes to you. So Paul was always the one that was a bit harder to crack. So you kind of lean towards him, because Prue would just, if she liked it, she'd like it. She'd let you know. Paul, you'd kind of have to hit the right buttons to get any kind of good feedback. So you, kind of lean towards him.
And you want that handshake.
You need that handshake, yeah. You gotta go and hunt for that. So that's on the bingo.
And you got 2 handshakes, if I.
Oh, just the one.
Is
just
that correct?
The one.
2 handshakes.
But we got it in the end.
Just the one. Wow.
I'm sure he shook your hand when he handed you the plate at the end of the show.
So we got that second one in the end.
This is a show that could never have been made in America, where they're like, okay, and then what's like the biggest thing you can get? They're like, hear me out. A firm handshake? They're like, fuck, genius. I was thinking like fist pound, maybe a high five, but handshake, yeah, classic. It doesn't get any more classic than a handshake. And I don't know.
I'm in America, and people are asking me like, oh, what did you get when you won the show? And the answer is I got a cake plate. And they're just like, what? You just got a cake plate. You didn't get $150,000 or a new home or a car. Yeah. I'm like, no, I got a cake plate and a bouquet of flowers, which was lovely. So, but that's it. That's all we want, a handshake and some flowers.
But they just had those lying around. Like, it's like, hey, set deck department, you got an extra set of daffodils over there? Okay, so you say you didn't get a big payout, but I assume it does change your life after. Another uncouth question. How famous are you in England?
So in, like, Edinburgh, where I live, is a really small city. So at the time of the show, it was...
Okay, Peter, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. I don't want to, because I have to yell at myself. I'm saying England, Edinburgh, Scotland. This is a disaster. Only a few weeks after we had a very long debate about the differences between England, the UK, and Great Britain. And I got it right, too. And now we're not going to edit this out. People should know how stupid I am. But I apologize, and I won't make that mistake again. How famous are you in Scotland, Peter? Edinburgh all the way down to Glasgow to the Highlands. You tell me.
I appreciate the clarification there, Matt. I do appreciate it. And it is tricky. We're a complicated place. But no, I think we've got such a small city, and at the time of the show, it was also COVID, so nothing was going on. So it was kind of like, it did feel like everyone was watching in Edinburgh, and kind of people got behind it. So back home a few years ago, it was quite a lot, and you know, quite a lot of people on the street would stop me each day and everything, which was an odd thing, but good fun. Now no one really cares, but it's it's 4 years ago, so I'm very old news. But you know, you still get the odd people that bump into you. Actually, I mainly get stopped by American tourists now. They're sort of the people that are most excited to see me. Everyone in Scottish people don't care, but if some American tourists spot me and they're fans of the show, they'll quite often come up and say hi, which is pretty cool.
Okay, well, so speaking of Americans, you've been around more of them recently because you're right now in Las Vegas. You're taking, from what I understand, it's like a 7-week pastry course, very intensive. I've seen on Instagram the shit you're making. It looks like... I mean, it's appropriate that you're in Vegas because it looks like a very fancy, expensive buffet in Vegas when you go to the sweet table, the dessert table in the end. Like, these little bonbons are shellacked, and you've got, like, chocolate stencils with words written on cakes. It's very fancy, but so what, you still had things to learn?
Yeah. I mean, I won an amateur baking show, and there's pros out there who can absolutely wipe the floor with me. So that's what I'm wanting to do, to learn from them and see what I can do. And I just love it. I love it so much. I'm genuinely a nerd about baking, and I geek out on it so much. So to get to learn about it for 7 weeks, pretty intense, from some absolutely wicked chefs is amazing fun. It's really amazing. Vegas is an odd place for it to be, though, and I still think probably half of my friends don't believe that I'm actually doing a pastry course out here for 7 weeks.
It does sound made up a little bit. Yeah.
The security at the airport didn't believe me and took me into the back for 30 minutes to question me on it. And they were like, absolutely no chance you're doing a baking course in Vegas for 7 weeks. And
what, are they just throw ingredients from the larder at you and we're like, make something, prove it?
How do you make a choux pastry? Tell me that you're going to a course. But no, it is so much fun. And cool to be out in Vegas for 7 weeks. You'd maybe have a different opinion on that, but it's pretty awesome.
No, I mean, I think it's a fun place to do a course. But I see you've also been getting out and trying some of our illustrious fast food. You were eating an In-N-Out burger, and I got to tell you, you said, I hate to do the super hot take, but I think that Shake Shack's better than In-N-Out. And I just want to tell you, you're correct about that. So you're not going to get any, and I'm in California. I'm not going to argue that. What other fast food places have you tried, and what is making the grade for you?
We had, I've still got a few weeks to go, so still a few more things to try. Popeyes was great. Popeyes was really strong.
Okay.
I enjoyed that.
Really strong. Really strong.
I haven't had much fried chicken in my life, so my bar is KFC, and it was much better.
That's true. In Scotland, they only fry fish. They don't even know that you could fry chicken over there. You should bring that back.
I'll be rich. I'll be rich. Start a business. Yeah. So that was good. Dairy Queen. What the heck's going on there? It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's ice cream. I think it's some oil-based. Well, you tell me. What is it?
I was so excited, and Warren Buffett absolutely loves that place, and he must have some.
Yeah, but he's from Omaha. What the fuck does he know? I mean, I understand he knows about business, but I don't think he's a gourmand.
I was kind of depressed. I went to the Excalibur Hotel to go for Dairy Queen. I'm the most boring man in Vegas. That was my Saturday afternoon trip, was to walk down to a hotel to find Dairy Queen ice cream. And it cost $10 for a cup of ice cream, which is an outrageous fee for any fast food chain. And just kind of the whole experience was a bit depressing in there. It was in the casino floor having a really subpar ice cream that I spent $10 on. And I was just like, there's so many good things to do here. Why am I spending my time doing this? Yeah, not my favorite.
You know what? I would just say that it's working, if that was your experience, because what are we good at in America? We're good at marketing. We're good at advertising. We're making things seem cooler than they are, shiny, new, delicious. So we've been sending you these ads. You've been seeing these ads for Dairy Queen of maybe the ice cream barista turning the Blizzard upside down and going, wow, that must be some solidly built ice cream in there. And then you come here and expecting this bright, fun, delicious experience, and it's perfectly mediocre, which I say that's your own fault.
It's fair enough.
You'll learn soon enough.
So I'm still on the hunt. So if you've got any recommendations for me on where I need to try, then I've still got time to go out there and try some good stuff.
I don't know. I mean, Vegas does baking. I'll think about it. But while I'm thinking, some quick housekeeping. If you'd like to support the show and get exclusive content, go to patreon.com/isthisgood. And you could send me emails to isthisgoodpod@gmail.com. I'm currently at inbox 0. Would love to get them in. And as you know, we're doing mailbags now too. So even if you don't know where this question fits, send it to me anyways. I'll decide where it fits. I wanted to start with this segment. It's a new segment. So we'll see how this goes. But to me, here's what I know about you. You're very passionate about baking. True or false?
True.
Okay. But also, you seem to me, for a passionate man, to be very level-headed, very sensible, very kind. Also true?
Yeah, we'll go true.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. He's being a good guest, JD. He's just yes-anding whatever I'm saying. And you sleep with a nightlight. Isn't that right, Peter?
True.
Yeah, okay. I thought so. That's important. But stuff must piss you off when people have dumb opinions about what you're passionate about, which is baking. Is that also true, Peter?
True. You're nailing it down.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to tell people off finally in a segment I'm calling Go Fudge Yourself. You see, it's, because you're very sensible, so you wouldn't have wanted this to be called Go Fuck Yourself, but also fudge is a product perhaps you work with. All right, here we go. You tell me if you want to tell these people to go fudge themselves. People who say milk chocolate is better than dark chocolate.
Oh, no, I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah.
Hell yes,
same.
Jay!
I'm fine.
Yes!
I think there's too much about dark chocolate being everything, and it has its place.
Sure.
But
yeah.
The garbage.
Again, we go back to, do people want this super fancy chamomile tea flavored biscuit, or do people want a chocolate chip cookie? Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing. Milk and dark chocolate. People don't always want to be challenged with this super bitter thing. Give them a dairy milk. Give them something that's really easy to eat and tasty. So I'm a fan of milk chocolate, and I don't have anything against it.
Okay, but what about white chocolate? That can go fudge, right?
Once again, I'm
it's not really chocolate though, and I never remember what it is, but you would know what it is.
It is. So it doesn't have any cocoa solids. So it's got cocoa butter in it, milk, sugar, and then some emulsifiers, but it doesn't have any cocoa solids, which is like the cocoa powder stuff. So that's what makes milk chocolate and dark chocolate brown, is the cocoa solids, and that gives the chocolate flavor. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's less of chocolate than those other ones, but I mean, I think probably part of my issue is just everyone thinks I'm going to be sick of cake at this point in my life, but sugar just gets you more addicted along the way. So if it has sugar in it, I'm just like a slob and I'll just get stuck straight into it. I really have very,
I'm not saying
very
I would eat it.
low standards in my sort of food preferences, which people sometimes get a bit surprised by.
Okay, what about this? What about the is it cake phenomenon? Can the people that are doing is this cake, can they go fudge?
I'm a fan. I really am a fan.
Oh, okay, Peter, I'm gonna jump in here and say that those cakes are fucking disgusting. Right? They're like, it's a race car. No, it's not. It's a cake, a very simple like angel food style looking cake with a pound of thick fondant on it that makes me want to puke. I don't even know why we allowed this to be happening. And it's sharing a network in America, Netflix, with your beautiful baking show, the Is This Cake show, side by side. And I'm offended.
I must say, I'm a fan of these guys on Instagram. I love a 30-second video of a crock that turns out to be cake. I think that's great. That makes me smile. But I've never seen the show on Netflix, and I can't quite understand how they drag that out into an hour. I don't understand how it goes beyond 30 seconds of Is This Cake? So maybe the show can go fudge itself. I haven't seen it yet, and I'll probably find that out. But, on social media, there's worse things out there. I'm a fan.
Here's one I think you're actually going to get upset about.
Okay.
The people who complain about using grams in recipes instead of
go
measuring.
fudge yourself.
There we go, fucking finally.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've learned whilst being in America for like 5 weeks now that a lot of stuff in the UK is really backwards. A lot of things don't make sense, but like the fact that you're using cups over here, it's absolutely outrageous. It's just ridiculous. I can't get my head around ounces for fluid. Like, can we go to liters, please? And cups, it's crazy. So, yeah, people that are using cups, go fudge yourself. Come to the metric system, use some grams.
Because baking is it's so scientific, right? And just the metric system just works better for science, I think.
It's so good. And like here in Vegas, it's super dry. So like genuinely all of the sugars and everything have like dried out in comparison to a normal place in the world. So the volume is completely different and compared to somewhere else. So you're never going to get a consistent result at all. So I feel very strongly on this one. You've got to go to grams. You've got to go that way.
And JD, it's not just the unit of measurement, but it's putting it on a scale is so much more accurate than just a measuring cup, right?
And easier as well. You just put your bowl on a scale and weigh it into the bowl. You don't have to get out cups and wash like 14 different cups and wash it between things. So yeah, this is the way to go. But I still, if I post a recipe online, people comment, US measurements, please. And I refuse.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Good. Stand strong. I mean, it is probably the biggest market in the world, and maybe you want to sell some books there. But, whatever. You do you. Okay, what about people that say cookie dough is better than cookies?
Oh. Go fudge yourself.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Yeah. Because they're taking out the baking part, which is the part you're good at.
Yeah. I think you always need to eat a little bit of the cookie dough before you bake the cookies.
Okay.
But, just a little bit. And then, if you like a doughy texture, I like a soft cookie. Just underbake it a little bit. You still get that kind of nice soft cookie chew. And you don't have to go all the way. But then you still get a bit of texture. So yeah, go for it. And then also a warm cookie is the best thing in the world. And you can't do that with cookie dough. So yeah, you've got to go all the way and bake it. If you put the effort into making the dough, just put it in the oven. It's easy.
Okay, what about this? What about people who say vanilla is plain?
Oh, this is an interesting one. This is where I feel I'm gonna go into the land of being a snob or something. We've learned about vanilla in the school in the course that I'm doing out here, and I think like true vanilla is an amazing flavor and it is so good. And if you actually go all into having like proper vanilla. It is unbelievable. But then most of the vanilla that you get, and just like cheap vanilla extract, which I use, everyone uses, we all use, then yeah, that's kind of plain. But I think if you really respect it as a flavor, it can be the best flavor that there is. But it's also one of the most expensive flavors that we've got, so it's a tricky one. So I don't disrespect anyone who thinks it's on the plain side and using extract and stuff. I use that all the time. But if you can go the whole way, yeah, it's a pretty solid flavor. It's up there with one of the best.
Wow, Peter, couldn't be happier to hear you say that, because I'm a big vanilla guy, and I have a friend, the professor, JD, who yells at me if we're ever out and we're ordering dessert for the table. If I order anything that isn't chocolate, anything that is not like it could be a vanilla cake, whatever. It could be a creme brulee. Anything that's not chocolate, he's furious, and he's yelling at me that vanilla is plain. I try to explain to him there's plain. There's vanilla yogurt and there's plain yogurt. There's plain, then you add vanilla to it. Now it's not plain anymore. But he's insisting that anything vanilla is like the way we use vanilla colloquially to mean like boring and whatever.
Right.
But I say there's nothing more boring than a dessert called Death by Chocolate. Like 10 layers of just chocolate.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Where's the contrast?
Mm-hmm.
What's playing on my tongue? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I respect vanilla, and Peter, I couldn't be happier to hear you say you respect vanilla as much as I do.
Mad respect to vanilla.
Respect to vanilla. Okay, I want to do something else with you here. So I've written down 15 desserts. I would call these sort of very middle of the road, classic-y kind of desserts. Maybe you'd call them American desserts in most cases, though I have a couple curveballs here. And I want to rank these with you. So JD's going to pull up a tier maker that I made. And here are the categories. At the top, S tier, as the kids call it, that's Mount Sugar Rushmore. Now, did I write it in a way that made sense? Because Sugar Rush, should I put Sugar Rush as one word and then more as a separate word, JD? What do you think?
I think what you did is fine.
Okay,
but
good.
Sugar Rushmore. Yeah, it still works.
Yeah, Mount Sugar Rushmore, that's the top. That means, Peter, that because it's Mount Sugar Rushmore, there can only be a maximum of 4 things there. Now, I'm not saying we got to get to 4 things if you disrespect all these desserts, which I think you might, but max 4. The next tier, A tier, is Gold Medal Ribbon. That's named after one of Baskin-Robbins' best flavors. Mm-hmm. The B tier is I can't say no. You offer it to me, I can't say no. The C tier is Only If I'm High, and the D tier is I'm waiting till you leave to be polite, then I'm throwing it out. Okay, so those are the tiers, and JD's going to drag these little desserts here. The first one, tiramisu. JD, can you correctly identify the tiramisu from these tiny images?
I got it right here.
Okay, tiramisu. Peter, what's your instinct? And of course, my word is going to be the final say on all these. No, just kidding. I'll let you. If there's a tiebreaker, I'll let you decide. Tiramisu, what's your instinct?
I feel like I'm going early. It's a risky game to play, but I think it's got to go S tier. I think it's really got to go S tier. Really? It's an amazing dessert. It's a crowd pleaser. It's got everything in it. It's got texture play going on sometimes. You've got the bitterness of the coffee, some sweetness and creaminess coming through. Mm-hmm. Also, apparently, the inventor of the tiramisu, very sadly, recently passed away about a month ago. So in their honor, I think that we should be putting this dessert as an S tier dessert.
It's funny you say that, because I read that same article and I was reading it going like, what is this guy, 300 years old? Like, doesn't tiramisu, like every Italian dish feels like it was made like Romulus and Remus were cooking it up in Etruscan hills or something? But tiramisu's really new. I think it was invented in the 50s or something. Yeah,
it's strange. You feel like it should be, sort of in the New Testament. All of the Italian desserts should have been should be in there, but they're not.
Well, moving on to the next one. This one has 0 textures. A New York cheesecake. Now, from what I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, in America, I'd say this is probably the most classic form of cheesecake. It's more cream cheesy than a regular cheesecake, so it's denser. How do you feel about a New York cheesecake?
I've got a more complicated relationship with the New York cheesecake than most other bakes that I've got. I'm a fan. I enjoy eating it, but it's probably the single bake that I'm most terrified of making. I have never made a good New York cheesecake. And yeah, I don't. So I think it's kind of difficult. Your cream cheese in America is very different to the UK, and all the recipes are typically American. And it's difficult to convert that and make it well. It's one of those things I probably should be better at it, but I'm kind of scared of the New York cheesecake. I respect it as a dessert, but I'm not going to want to make it every day. So I think I'm probably on the I can't say no. Because for me, part of the joy of dessert is actually making it and doing the bake. I'm a weirdo like that. So it's a good dessert. It's a crowd pleaser. Everyone loves it, but I'm just a little terrified of it, and I avoid making them at all costs.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you. I mean, I think we should be speaking more. Obviously, feel free to tell me about the actual baking and construction of these desserts, but tell me from the perspective of deliciousness, of what you're excited to eat. But I'm saying, I know this sounds harsh, but I'm leaning C only if I'm high, only because there's a lot of lactose issues in there for me, and it's just not in my favorites. I could say no to a cheesecake is what I'm saying. Therefore, I can't put it in B. For me, it's C. How do you feel about that?
I'm quite happy to go along with you there. Yeah, I'm not rushing to it.
Let's see.
Okay, perfect. Put it in C. JD, the next one, chocolate chip cookie, Peter. I think this has got to go in Mount Sugar Rushmore. But what do you think?
I think it depends on the cookie.
Okay, but think about the best execution of each of these things.
Okay, so the best of the best on the chocolate chip cookie. I think you can get better. I really do think you can get better bakes. And I feel like we might get into an argument here. You might have to pull rank on this list.
Okay.
But I'm going... I would go B.
Can't say no.
Wow! The most classic. This guy comes to our country. It's not even any of our countries, really, when you think about it. When you really, really think about it, we're actually a lot more like Peter than anyone in America. They are our mom and dad. But then they're also really the mom and dad of this country, too. Wow, it's crazy. You guys really did some stuff around the world. I just think chocolate chip cookie is so classic that it deserves to be on the top. But then we can settle for A, because I'm not putting in B.
Okay, I mean, the best of the best of what I've had, it is pretty special when you get a proper good chewy cookie. But do you have those Maryland cookies, or I think they're Chips Ahoy?
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah, we have Chips Ahoy. Yeah.
It's like when it's that dry, like snaps into.
Yes, I know.
It's
I couldn't
just
agree more.
it's just offensive to the chocolate chip cookie, and I think there's too many of them floating about that it really brings down the whole category.
I agree.
Okay, fine. Put it in B then. You're not going to say no to a chocolate chip cookie if you say, don't lie to my face.
You're right about that.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I can't say no.
Okay, let's move on here. A Rice Krispie treat. Now, is this even a thing in the UK?
Yeah, it's a thing. But for me, a Rice Krispie treat is an easy bit of fuel when you're at a sports competition.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a thing that me and my brothers we'd have in the car on the way to training after school and that sort of thing. It's not for joy. It's an easy way to get carbs in before you're working out. And that's probably why I'm waiting till you leave and then I'm throwing it out. I think this is going to be detailed.
No, JD, cut his mic. This is no lower than can't say no. No one can say no to a Rice Krispie treat. I mean, they sell them at the front of Starbucks for crying out loud. It's an impulse item at Starbucks.
I don't think it is in the UK. Because
did you invent Starbucks? Because we did.
It's just
I'm just when it's convenient for me, I'm American. When it's not, I'm not.
Like, so we talked about is it cake, and then making these cakes which are 90% fondant.
Yeah.
The other 7% is Rice Krispie treats,
Right.
and then only 3% cake. And it's who wants if you saw a sculptural cake and you were like, I want to get some of this wedding cake in, and you cut into it and there's Rice Krispie treats, how sad would you be?
Thrilled.
It would be.
In fact, I'm going to have a wedding cake that's all Rice Krispies. I'm going to have Snap, Crackle, and Pop there officiating the thing. You don't respect General Mills or Kellogg's, whichever one did that. If it's Kellogg's, I watched the Seinfeld movie. All right, we got to move on. Let's move with a little more pace here. Number 5.
Where am I putting it? Where am I putting the Rice Krispies?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Rice Krispie Squares, I'm pulling rank here. I'm putting them B. I'm putting them B.
Fine.
Can't say no, sure.
I don't support this list anymore.
Okay, well, Peter, you can pull. It says this is actually going to be a public list. It's going to say Peter Sawkins' favorite desserts. But you can pull rank on me for something else later, which I think you might be higher on than me. Eclair, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like this. The patachoux, I believe it's called. It's not a good mouthfeel on that thing, especially when it gets dried out, and I find it's always too much dough. And then what's in the middle of it? Just generic cream. This is a C only if I'm high. What do you think?
I mean, if we're going for the best of the best here,
yeah,
put it on Mount Sugar Rushmore.
I agree, Peter.
We're so far away on this.
Yeah.
I mean,
JD, you're agreeing?
An eclair, a chocolate eclair at its best is the greatest thing you'll ever eat.
Is unbelievable.
So good.
Fine.
Good.
Put it on Mount Sugar Rushmore. Fine.
Okay, well, you want to compromise and put it on gold medal ribbon, maybe?
I can do that.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll do that.
Right.
I can do that.
Good. Okay, so I apologize. I got unnecessarily angry there. All right, carrot cake, D, wait until you leave, then I'm throwing it out. I'll tell you what I don't like. It's not just the carrots. It's the walnuts that people like you, Peter, are always trying to sneak into this cake. Now, the one saving grace is if you have a carrot cake that has a ton of cream cheese frosting on top. Mm-hmm. But now I bet you're so sophisticated, you don't even think that belongs on it. So again, this is a D for me. What do you think it is?
I was going to go A. We're really not vibing on these. Really
what do you like? What's so good about carrot cake?
Oh, I think carrot cake is, everyone loves it. I thought everyone loved the carrot cake. You see, if you for someone's birthday, if you bring out the carrot cake, everyone's so excited that it's not chocolate
Who are you
cake.
asking? Rabbits?
It's so good. And then the walnuts, that's what brings the texture, the dynamic contrast. That's what makes it so good. The walnuts in it.
It's a real risk, carrot cake, because if I'm fine with the walnuts, I love the icing, I love the flavor. But if there's raisins in there or some weird big juicy piece of fruit, I'm waiting until you leave it to throw it out. But I would easeth put this gold medal ribbon as well. So,
okay, fine, go gold medal ribbon then. Okay, Peter, I think we're gonna be aligned on this. The seventh one, red velvet cupcake. We don't believe in red velvet, right? Red velvet can go fudge.
Yeah, go fudge yourself. Yeah, D tier.
Explain to the people why we don't respect red velvet.
Well, it's just a weak chocolate cake that's been coloured red, so there is no point in it. What is the point in that cake? Have a chocolate cake or just, there's no. It doesn't make any sense.
Hold on a second, JD. You threw it into D, throwing it out. No, if I'm high, I'm still eating it, but I don't respect it.
Isn't that true? Are we reading all of these? Like, we've got to put.
No. There's some coming up. I would legitimately throw in the trash. And I'm telling you the truth. If your carrot cake had carrots, which obviously it would if it's a carrot cake, if it had walnuts and raisins, I would throw that out.
Really?
Sorry, being honest. Okay, a brownie.
It's good. I can't say no, I think is where it lands for me, because even a brownie always slaps. It's always great. And if it's a good brownie, it's amazing. But I've never had a brownie that's really changed my life. Mm-hmm. So I think it goes to I can't say no for me.
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, it's the most overrated dessert, I think, to me.
Yeah, but I respect the whole brownie community, like
Sure.
the Blondie, the Brookie. They're doing great work over there. All right, creme brulee. Now this is an old school dessert. It's a bit stodgy. Of course, it's some kind of custardy thing, vanilla-y custardy thing with You put granulated sugar on the top, and then you burn it off with a torch, so it gets that really crunchy top that you can slap with the back of a spoon, and it shatters like glass. I've always loved creme brulee. Maybe it's because I grew up in Montreal. A lot of bistro restaurants where that would be the dessert they would offer you in a prix menu. So for me, this is pretty high, but I feel like it's fallen out of favor. What do you think, Peter?
I'm a big fan. I'm a really big fan of the creme brulee. I think it's a classic. You get bad ones often, but a good one is great.
I think this is Rushmore.
JD, Rushmore?
Rushmore, for sure. This is the only one you get to slap and break before you eat it, and if it's done right, it is the most delicious thing. The glass-like coating or whatever it is, and then with the creamy, the hot on top and the cold on the bottom, it's just an incredible.
Oh, you just want to go ice skating on that thing.
Exactly.
Okay, give me Mount Sugar Rushmore then. Okay. I'm fine with that.
You good with that, Peter?
This list is, he hates this list. So it doesn't matter to him anymore. Okay, now here's where I'll allow you to outrank me if you want to. Mincemeat pie. Now for people listening, there's no meat in a mincemeat pie. It's a sweet little filling of like treacly apples and raisins and spices and nuts. All the worst things you could put in a very boring pie crust. To me, I'm throwing this out. Peter, are you going to prevent me from throwing this out?
I mean, I think this is one thing in the UK. We just love dried fruit so much. Yeah. I love Christmas cake, which is just fruit cake. I love mince pies. It can be the festive season without tons of mincemeat and all that sort of stuff. So I do love it, but I hated it until I was about 11 years old. So every child in the UK hates mince pies. Mm-hmm. And then you get to a point in your life where I suppose you're just sort of coerced into, the social norms of eating them for long enough that you are kind of, it's a bit of like, I suppose, Helsinki syndrome around mince pies, that you're then sort of, you go, I'm actually missing them now by the time it comes around to September. And then you start thinking about them and going out to buy them. So there's something weird going on where we are. But you can put it low. I respect that you might want to throw them out. But if you were high, would you maybe give it a shot?
Absolutely not. That's why for me it's a D.
Your list. You can put it on the D, okay. But I'll just have a wee footnote to say that I love them and I respect them, and just so I'm not disowned when I go back home.
Yeah, you're basically shitting on Christmas in general, right? The festive season. But I'm with you, Matt. I hate
yeah. Okay, good. Throw some D's on it. Next one here, banana bread. JD, put your cursor on the banana bread because I just want to be clear what kind of banana bread this is. This is just the most generic banana bread. It doesn't even have chocolate chips in it. It doesn't even have a nice layer of melted chocolate on top, which I think is essential. So just a straight up banana bread. Almost looking like something you'd toast and put butter on, which is gross. Nah. Only if I'm high. Peter, what do you say?
Yeah, I'll be there with you. Once again, the best banana bread, if you've got some little additions. I do eat upside down one with some caramelized bananas on top. It's great.
Yeah, maybe you get some star anise in there. You get some cardamom, some nutmeg, some cloves, some saffron. Oh, what a banana cake.
But it was played out in the pandemic, wasn't it? Too many banana breads were made.
Maybe.
Too many banana breads.
Too many were made.
Throw some chocolate chips in them. Okay, churros. What do you think of these? Have you had a churro in Las Vegas? That'd be a fun thing for you to try.
I haven't. I think this is one of those things in life that I haven't had a good version of it. I don't think if you go to Spain or Mexico, you're going to get something that's really fresh with the fresh chocolate with it, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. I think I've only had bad churros before, and they're pretty weak. It's low down for me, but I feel it's maybe one of those things that might change my life if I had a proper good one. So I don't know if you've had something that's really top tier here.
Well, JD, where do you want to put it? Because I know this is crazy, but I want to put it in Mount Sugar Rushmore.
I do too. And Peter, if you're ever in Amsterdam, get a churro. They're huge in Amsterdam for whatever reason. I can't imagine why. But oh man, they're so good. They're so good.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
I was
went
the main.
To another place there.
Yeah, I know. Just fucking relax. They can often especially if they can have that the taste of the fryer on them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? When they don't change the oil or has that taste to it. But you get a good fresh one when it's hot, and then they put the sugar on top of it and it just sticks to the oil. Goddamn, that's good. Here's one I think you're gonna be happy about: sticky toffee pudding.
S tier.
Yeah,
S tier. Mount Sugar Rushmore.
Let's not argue about it.
The best dessert in the world, and no one will change my mind. That is the best thing.
Now that's it. That's it for Mount Sugar Rushmore. We got tiramisu, creme brulee, churros, and sticky toffee pudding. I hope these next two don't entice you too much. And careful what you say about this next one in America, apple pie.
I'm a fan. I love an apple
really?
pie. You know, we love it's like back home we have crumbles, like the classic dessert back home, which is the fruit with lazy person pastry on top, crumble on top of it. Apple crumble is an absolute classic. Apple pie, it's
But now, to
gold
be
medal
clear, this
ribbon.
is one of those like cross-hatched looking pies that you leave on the windowsill to cool.
even better, because that's to get the lattice work on top. A lot of love's gone into that. You know, it's the grandma who made that put a lot of love and care into it. It's going to taste delicious. Yeah, it's a great bake for me.
Okay, I say, Grandma, thanks for all the time and effort into making the lattice, but it would have been better if you put a streusel or a crumble on top of this, which Peter called the lazy man's topping. Okay, well, sorry. It's good. I don't know what to tell you. It's crunchy, and it's more sugary, and it's better. And I don't want to see the apples from the top. I want to cut into it and see the apples. For me, I'm going to go... Again, if this was a crumble, this would be higher. But for me, I'm going can't say no. JD, how do you feel?
I'm only if I'm high, bordering on throw it out, to be honest. I do not like cooked apples. I find it gross in my mouth. I would have to have a heaping pile of vanilla ice cream on top of this thing in order to eat, to choke it down. To choke it down. If that's not an option, then I'm throwing it out. But,
Okay, then let's go only if I'm high. Let's be controversial.
Okay.
People are going to look at this list and feel bad. Now, okay, let's finish it out here. I think that I'm going to have a controversial opinion on this one. Chocolate mousse. Believe it or not, chocolate mousse is for me only if I'm high. I can easily turn down a chocolate mousse. There's nothing going on there for me. It's just like different percentages of dark chocolate in a cup. It's flat and zero texture. Different, like no different flavors playing on your tongue. You're not like taking another bite and going like, oh, now I'm tasting this or that. So it's just very low to me. Peter, what do you say?
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't think I've ever ordered a chocolate mousse at a restaurant. It feels like a scam to get it at a restaurant. I think it's like not much has gone into it. I feel, give me like a chocolate mousse inside a layered cake with different sponges and maybe a pastry at the bottom and some different fillings and stuff, and you've got an awesome dessert there. But just the chocolate mousse on its own, yeah, take it or leave it. I'm not too fussed. I'm not ordering that.
Okay,
wow.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, there you go. So in Mount Sugarmore, you've got...
where am I putting this one? Only if I'm high?
Yeah, I'm still going to eat it if I'm high, to be honest. But I'm not throwing out chocolate. But
Yeah.
That's good. So Mount Sugarmore is tiramisu, creme brulee, churros, and sticky toffee pudding. Gold medal... A tier is, it pains me to say it, an eclair. And what's next to it there? The icon is so small I can't even see it.
It's carrot cake.
Oh my God, our A tier is embarrassing. All credibility ruined. And you've put the Rice Krispies in the tier below them. This is so insulting. Next to chocolate chip cookies and brownies. Everyone listening is going to rather have a chocolate chip cookie, a Rice Krispie square, or a brownie than an eclair and a carrot cake. But whatever. Only if I'm high, we've got a New York cheesecake, red velvet cupcake, banana bread, a lattice apple pie, and a chocolate mousse. And then I'm waiting till you leave. Then I'm throwing it out. Sorry to... both, all three, the England, the UK, and Great Britain. I'm throwing out your mincemeat pie. There's only one thing left to do before you go, and that's play subjective trivia. So, subjective trivia, it's just like regular trivia, except only I know the answer. We talked earlier about Paul Hollywood, one of the judges on Great British Bake Off. And I have to say, Paul Hollywood... Before I started watching the show, I just thought that was a pseudonym, and then I found out that's his real name is Paul Hollywood. It's easily one of the most made-up real names on TV. So today's question is, if he had to change his last name to another Hollywood-related word, what would sound the coolest? So here are your choices. Paul Tinseltown, Paul Silverscreen, Paul Picture Show, or Paul Celluloid. Celluloid's that stuff they make the film reel out of.
Sorry, what's the coolest?
Yeah, like let's say Paul. I like Paul. You can't call yourself Paul Hollywood anymore. He's like, well, I want to stick to the original name of my ancestors. All right, so you say, I got 4 options for you. Paul Tinseltown, Paul Silverscreen, Paul Picture Show, or Paul Celluloid. I have my answer here on this card, what I think. Hey, Peter, this is what you might call a recipe card, but I call it a cue card. What is your answer? Ideally, our answers match. JD doesn't know my answer, so you can consult with him.
Easily the strangest question I think I've ever been asked. So
good, that's what we're going for.
For that one. I don't know. I don't know what to go off here. I like just to the sound of it. I like Tinseltown.
It's me
I think
too.
I think that's fun. That's vibrant.
Yeah.
You could see that in the tent. Dress the tent with tinsel instead of bunting. That's a good
Easy.
time.
Yeah.
That's a good time.
It's the most alliterative of them all. I mean, they're all sort of alliterative, but that one is just, it rolls off the tongue. Tinseltown.
Yeah.
Paul Tinseltown at your service. I love it. Let's go Tinseltown.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was one of the ones that I had it down to. But ultimately, I decided that if his name was going to be Paul Tinseltown, I'd wanted him to be Paulie Tinseltown. I don't know why. I just felt like that flowed better. The answer is Paul Silverscreen. I think that sounds like a last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking Silverstein, maybe, like Shell.
Sure.
Paul Silverscreen. It's no weirder than Paul Hollywood. Don't roll your eyes at me. His name's Paul Hollywood. Any of these are just as normal as that name. All right, Peter, thanks so much for coming on. You didn't get the right answer, but because you've been such a great sport, you could still tell people where to find you and anything else you'd like them to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram at Peter_bakes, and I post baking content, and currently what I'm up to in Las Vegas as well. That's it.
And where can we buy the books?
Oh, yeah, and you can, I should probably plug my books. Yeah, you can buy them on Amazon anywhere in the world, and then bookstores in the UK.
Yeah. And if you do buy the book, I would also buy a British to American English translator, because it is going to be in grams, and it's going to be confusing.
Sorry for that.
Besides
Grams
that,
and
great
Celsius.
books. Hey, and also we should say one of the books is specifically aimed at kids, right?
Yeah, so Peter's Baking Party is aimed at kids. And now I realize that I'm a fraud, because I think that does actually have... It doesn't have cups, but it has ounces in it. So you can use...
For the kids that love
ounces,
ounces, you know.
Should you do it.
Remember to check us out, patreon.com/isthisgood. If you have topics, email us at isthisgoodpod@gmail.com. If you think vanilla's plain, go fudge yourself. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Peter for coming on. Thanks in advance for leaving a 5-star review. For everyone, I'm Matt Austin, and this was good. We'll see you next week.